Hello, friends. Welcome to Story Behind Podcast. This is the show for people who love hearing a good story and who believe the world could use more positivity. We're the team behind GodUpdates and God2, and we hope these weekly short stories will brighten your day.
Bride moves wedding to hospital to have dying mom by her side, and one day later she's gone. Written by Mel Johnson, read by Julie Provost. After realizing her sick mom didn't have much longer to live, a bride moves her wedding to the hospital chapel to make sure her mother can be by her side. Elizabeth Balgowski wasn't planning on having her wedding at a hospital, but when faced with the choice of having the wedding she originally planned or having her mother by her side, the decision was easy. Some heartbreaking news came just weeks before Elizabeth, or Liz as her friends call her, was set to marry her fiancé Ivo. Liz's mom, Magna, landed in the hospital, and doctors estimated the sick woman to have very little time left on this earth. This left Liz, who lives in Australia, with a difficult choice. Either the bride moves her wedding date and location or leaves it as is, knowing her mom likely wouldn't live long enough to attend. For the devoted daughter, the choice was simple. She was prepared to move heaven and earth if it meant having her mom by her side. So Liz and Ivo set to work in a race against time. The groom and bride managed to move their wedding date up. They were also able to relocate the ceremony to the chapel in the hospital, caring for Liz's mom. It's not easy for a groom and a bride to move their wedding at the last minute, but given the circumstances, Liz and Ivo received a ton of support. The wedding vendors worked together to honor the couple's change of plans, and Ariana Photography was on hand to capture the stunning images of the tender, heart-trending moments. The day came together beautifully. Magna may have been confined to a hospital bed, but she still got to experience all of her daughter's big day. Liz got dressed and ready in her mom's hospital room. Then Magna's hospital bed was wheeled into the chapel so she could watch the loving ceremony. The very next night, Magna went to be with the Lord, but not before celebrating her daughter's wedding day. Though the event wasn't exactly how Liz and Ivo had originally planned, it was still the wedding of Liz's dreams because she had her mother by her side. My flesh and my heart fails, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. Psalm 73:26. Two brave students notice school bus driver having medical emergency and jump into action. Written by Mel Johnson, read by Julie Provost. In the midst of their school bus driver having a medical emergency, brave students Connor Doss and Kane Daugherty came to the rescue. And these amazing young men are restoring faith in the next generation. A typical bus ride to school took a terrifying turn when the school bus driver started having a medical emergency. I came in the aisle, and I looked down. Miss Julie's face is bright red and shaking, recalled one of the middle school students on the bus, Connor Doss. Thankfully, as Miss Julie realized something was wrong, she managed to safely pull over to the side of the road, and that's when Connor Doss and Kane Daugherty jumped into action to see how they could help. As she shook uncontrollably, it became clear to the students that their bus driver was having a medical emergency. And since she was the only adult on the bus, it would have been up to the middle schoolers to take control of the situation. Two brave students, Connor Doss and Kane Daugherty, were the ones to jump into action. Kane rushed to the front of the bus and picked up the dispatch radio. I said, "Somebody help, our bus driver feels really dizzy," he recalls. After contacting the authorities, the dispatcher helped walk Kane through how to set the parking brake and turn on the hazards. Meanwhile, Connor worked on keeping the rest of the students calm. Some were crying, some were screaming, and some were just panicking, he said. Then Connor and Kane did what they could to help the bus driver having a medical emergency. We know she has diabetes, so we thought maybe it was an attack. We got her to drink Coke, eat cookies, and all of that, Kane explained. In the midst of the bus driver having a medical emergency, the boys also waved their arms out of the windows at passing cars. A vehicle finally pulled over, and the driver, a pastor, boarded the bus. The pastor helped keep the students calm and encouraged everyone to pray. And that's when Connor Doss and Kane Daugherty knew things were going to be okay. That was the moment of relief, I think, for Miss Julie and for us to know God was on our side, Kane recalls. Indeed, God was in control and clearly working through these two young men. Thanks to their help and the swift action, the bus driver received prompt medical attention and is recovering at home. The principal at East Paulding Middle School expressed how incredibly proud he was of Connor Doss and Kane Daugherty. Their courageous actions helped avoid a potentially dangerous situation, and they set a wonderful example for their peers. The care, respect, and love they showed for Miss Julie has been incredible, Principal Tom Albertson said. While the community and school board have recognized Connor's and Kane's bravery, the humble men are quick to dismiss all the praise. "I'm not a hero," Kane said. "All I did was react. All Connor did was react. We just helped our bus driver out. Anybody else would have done it. It's just we were the first ones to do it. Thank God for putting these young brave men on the bus, and what awesome students to step up and answer God's call in the midst of such a scary situation. And though the Lord will give you the bread of trouble and the water of grief, you will no longer put your teacher on one side, but you will see your teacher. And at your back, when you are turning to the right hand or to the left, a voice will be sounding in your ears, saying, 'This is the way in which you are to go.'" Isaiah 30:20-21.
Thank you so much for listening to Story Behind Podcast. We're really glad you joined us for this week's story. To see photos and videos that may have been referenced in this episode, check out the links in the show notes. And if you enjoyed what you heard today, subscribe to our podcast, and please tell a friend about us. We'd also love it if you'd rate us and leave us a review. It really does help more people find us. Story Behind is a Salem Web Network production.